Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Noisy Neighbours podcast. Joined as usual by my brother Christian, and today, first special guest, good friend of both of ours, Mr. Phil Keogh. How are you, Phil?
I'm all right, lads. How are you? You good?
Yeah,
All
very
right.
well, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to getting into it, really. Obviously a bit of background for you. You're a lifelong United fan.
Yeah.
Seen a
It
little
was,
bit more, not too much more, but you've seen a little bit more of a little bit more of the good old days.
yeah, yeah. It was going.
Um,
It was going quite well for me until turn 30, and then
yeah, yeah. People can work out how old you are now. So I think that's obviously the last podcast was just myself and Christian, and turned into a bit of a rant for
Battering on.
myself. So yeah, it'd be good to obviously massive game coming up. It'd be great to get sort of your take, Phil, on a number of topics at the minute, and obviously Christian, with your sort of neutral sort of look on things as well.
Yeah.
So we'll just get straight into it if you want. So on the last one, obviously a lot's sort of happened this year, hasn't it, Phil? With change of manager, change of ownership as well this year, and
yeah,
it's. I suppose me and Christian have discussed certain things in depth, but it'd be nice to get your take on a few things. So obviously, this season, as we're halfway through the season, played 19 games,
yeah.
split between two managers really, and then obviously Rude had two in between. So I suppose just your take on how it's got worse from coming eighth, and just generally your take, and obviously I'm sure you're probably as surprised how bad it is, like all of us. Just
Yeah.
is there anything in detail that you think's happened, or what's your take on it?
I think. I mean, I mean, everybody watched the FA Cup final. I mean, I might as well get that in now. One bright spark from
Cheers
last
for starting
season.
there, Phil.
Yeah, get that in there. We're all end of the season quite
That's the best it's going to get this pod, I think.
I'll take the
best.
small wins.
Best of the
Yeah,
last 5 years result probably. But yeah,
definitely.
we're all a bit like optimistic, I guess, that we played really well. I don't think City played bad. I think we played really well, and we got a good result out of it. And I think we matched them up. Obviously, we had to play in a certain formation with like the 4-2-2 to try and keep it very very narrow and hit them on the break, and it worked well. And then you were kind of like thinking, what's going to happen next? Because the Ineos, obviously, have made mistakes. They're obviously going to make mistakes as they go along, but they kind of decided that to stick with Ten Hag. Seems like that was more of a Dan Ashworth kind of decision, and he paid the price for it now. He's been sacked. But I feel that we kind of went with it because that's what fans felt we should be doing, and it was maybe going back to the Louis van Gaal. We sacked somebody after they won an FA Cup. Maybe that was a bit harsh, although I didn't feel
Yeah,
that way at the time. Some people
no,
did. And we kind of stuck with Ten Hag, and then we backed him to a certain extent in the transfer market. We don't know who actually picked which players, but I guess
yeah,
you could say De Ligt, Mazraoui, definitely his kind of players. But we backed him, and it kind of went into the season thinking, oh, do you know what? I personally, I know you didn't, I felt like a lot of last season was down to a lot of injuries because we have a lot more injuries than, just Rodri being injured. We had a lot more injuries going on. And I felt like we were disrupted all the way through it. But it was the same. It's much the same, maybe a little slightly better, but it still was one midfielder on his own. Still, half the team's pushing, the other half's defending deep, and it was disjointed, and we can't finish for
yeah.
nothing. So
Yeah,
that's
just going back to the start of the season, and obviously you touched on it there with the change that Ten Hag made going into the final, and obviously the end of the Prem season became a bit of a trial period for
yeah,
the final in a way where he went with he brought Amrabat in, and like you said, went with the split strikers and the 2-2 in the box in midfield, and then I'm just trying to think back now. I think he started the season because Hoyland was injured. I think he started the season with that, but
yeah,
it was Mount and Fernandez, and then
yeah,
Mainu and Casemiro behind
possibly, yeah.
because
We
it
had no,
changed a lot.
yeah,
Obviously, Casemiro didn't. Amrabat left, and McTominay left. So two starters from that box in midfield left. So he actually went into the season, and obviously the first game, 1-0 win against Fulham. Second one lost at Brighton, and then it just, I think then Højlund got fit and he went for a traditional lineup. I'm just obviously the Ten Hag sort of 9 games played out, and then we all thought sort of after 9 games being 14th, it couldn't get any worse basically.
Just before you move on from that though, were you too happy that you were going to carry on with Ten Hag even after? Did you feel like it was the right call to make and give him the amount of money you did to reinvest into the squad?
From my perspective, no, I would have sacked him. I thought injuries were a factor. I didn't think that they were a reason for why we were so open against anybody with a bit of pace in the middle of the pitch. And there's like a famous picture from that Liverpool FA Cup game, which we actually won. And it was just like, 6 players were up the pitch, and it wasn't even a transition. It was just a bad press. And for me, obviously the defensive injuries were a big thing throughout the season. But when I was looking at it, it was actually the offensive stats from last season that were awful. Like, he actually had his front 4 available, and they were like, we touched on it in the last pod, Phil. I don't know if you've seen it. We was looking at the goals scored from last season. We scored 57 last season. Luton scored 52 and got relegated. So, in a way, I was like, well, okay, you had the defending, the issues at the back. Evans played quite a lot. Lindelof played quite a lot. Maguire played quite a lot. But we had like a mid-table attack, and he had his front 4 for the whole season almost. So from my perspective, I wouldn't have done it. Obviously, looking at it now, if you wanted Amorim, you really shouldn't have let Ten Hag go into the season because it's a very unique system that these lot can't play.
I think what was weird is United seemed to be openly flirting with managers as well at the time, weren't they? So after the cup final, or was it even before when the news was breaking? Was it the Ipswich manager?
It was him, Tuchel.
Tuchel. It just seems so erratic that you went from that to then like. We're giving him a load of money.
Phil, as soon as we sat down with managers, do you think they should have gone through with it?
I think they should have gone through it. I think I obviously backed Ten Hag a bit more than you did winning his turn. I think maybe towards in last season I was very much in the it's not going to get any better. Was it the Palace game away or something like that? It was just like this is terrible. And I was like, I was happy if they wanted to make a change. I wasn't. And when they decided to keep him, I was a bit like, well, all right, but they'll have to make changes. Maybe somebody else picks the players we're going to sign. They changed the coaches around it, and they got rid of all of his coaches pretty much and given some new ones. So it's a bit more like maybe another somebody else talking to, maybe give him another perspective on it would help, but.
Yeah, me and Christian were speaking about it, and from my perspective, it felt like Ineos wrestled back the recruitment this summer, which me and Christian did actually get into in quite a lot of detail. And so I don't know. I suppose do you two agree with that initially it felt like they said, okay, let's keep him, probably like you said, Phil, on a moral level rather than it was more hope than faith.
Well,
and then they went, I'll tell you what, you can stay, but we're taking recruitment back. And we all liked that idea, to be fair. I mean, as far as the recruitment went.
Did they take recruitment back, though, do you think? Do you think Xerxes was an Ineos signing? And if so, that's
yeah.
I think that's worse.
I think all 5. I mean, look, obviously, De Ligt felt obvious because he's an ex-player, and obviously we signed a bunch of them with Eric. I think that, obviously, if we just stick on the recruitment, Phil, I don't want to, I know we did a bit of this, Christian, and the duplicate, but I just want to get Phil's take quickly on the recruitment in the summer. And so we just touched on the goals 4 from last season, and we were 10th in the league, 5 goals more than a relegated club in Luton. To go into the summer, and me and you both spoke, we felt there was positives in the summer, one of our better windows.
Yeah.
And then I sat back the other night and I was watching the Newcastle game, and it just felt like we weren't going to score, and it felt like that for about 5 games.
Yeah.
And the sample size of the season now, Amarim's stats and Ten Hag's stats were about a goal a game, like under both managers in 2 systems. So you start looking back and you're thinking, right, okay, well, they're a goal a game in a 4-2-3-1. They're a goal a game in a 3-4-3. Are these players actually? Is it just the players? You know what I mean? And I was looking at the summer and I think, right, okay, we scored 5 more than Luton. We signed a right back. We sold a right back. We signed 2 centre backs. We signed a holding midfielder, sold a holding midfielder, and maybe 2 if you count Amrabat as well. And then an unknown number 10 who looks absolute dross. I don't want to hammer Xerxes too much, but from what I've seen, looks terrible. And it's like, obviously, what were they thinking going into this window? And obviously, as fans, I'm looking back now thinking, why did I think that was acceptable to not go and sign attackers?
I think at the time we were expecting another striker to come in. I think we were talking and saying there must be something else going in the market, but nothing ever came of it because I don't think any players moved on quick enough. I don't know if you remember, we were waiting for Sancho, Greenwood, and someone else to move on. They moved quite later on in the window or something like that. So we were kind of like, oh, that must have freed up some transfer funds there, but nothing ever came of it. I think, looking back, the window looked good on paper. Like I like De Ligt, I like Maswara. I think they've both been acceptable signings so far. Pretty good. Maswara's been very good. Bit iffy the last couple of games playing as a wing back.
Yeah.
Ugarte was not his player at the time. Didn't want to play him. Didn't pick him. But I think he's been reasonably good. We don't know really. He had a really good game against City. I think that's the kind of game that suits him. But ultimately, we should have got another attacker. And I was saying to you, I think we said previously, like, when we were speaking to in the summer, it was like more like we needed another player who was like really good. Like we've got enough potential players who are potentially going to be something. You could say Garnacho, Ahmad, Hoyland. They're all potentially going to be players. And then you've got Rashford, who's the big earner, the big player. I really think we need a better player alongside those set of players who's going to lead them a bit more. And we never got that player in, and we really desperately needed that striker or winger, like a top class player. And that comes back to Ten Hag's first window. We shouldn't have spent so much money on Anthony. That's the way the budget's probably gone. We should have really gone for another player there.
Obviously, Christian, we spoke about it, didn't we, with the sort of just the positions that were reinforced. And something that we spoke about was it wasn't just that the positions, looking back, weren't sort of ideal. It was also we had to lose players in all of those positions. It's like, I do like Ugarte, but then you look back and you think, well, Amrabat and McTominay ended the season quite well. Have we actually moved the needle losing 2 for 1 in that area? And obviously Casemiro and Eriksen are completely finished. Like, last season they were usable. And as you saw the other night, none of us were surprised at what happened on Monday with them two.
Yeah. I do think, and I think someone else played, and it might be Gary Neville. I know Neville was going on about the 2 midfield, but we've been doing this for a while now, under Ten Hag as well. We're going up against 3 midfielders with our 2 or a 1, and it goes back to the fact that we're still trying to play a 10. Not many clubs are playing a pure 10, and then we're trying to have 2 players sat with him. A lot of teams have just got a very good set of 3 that are going up against us, and we're always outrun. I don't know. I don't think we signed well in that position.
No.
Over the summer.
Do you
anyway.
think with that, Phil? Do you think, like, when I was saying on the last one to Alex, and I was like, when you saw the lineup against Newcastle and you saw their midfield of Joelinton,
we've lost already, haven't we?
Were you just a bit like, we already know the outcome before this game started? I thought you'd lost before there was a ball kick.
I couldn't believe it took him, was it 20 minutes to make a change? I really would have just done it straight away. I would have gone, made a mistake there. Was it?
I think it was 30. Yeah, I think they hit the post just before the sub. It was.
Mainu made a massissive difference. I'm not saying he's been playing well because he's not.
No. He's absolutely saved that from being that fell. I mean, look, we've seen that a few times. Christy mentioned it in the last one where, from kickoff, they were defeated. They had no belief they were going to win the game, and we've seen that. It really reminded me of the Ollie 4-0, 5-0 at home to Liverpool
Yeah.
in the Ronaldo season, and
Yep.
where we got, it was just ridiculous how
The City game after that, wasn't it?
City was the 6-3, which was a bit more sort of. See, I mean, the thing is, I suppose the difference with this one is, and to be fair, Ollie, I would not. I mean, we spoke about the Ollie team. I think 3 days before the Liverpool game, we got battered in the Champions League, and he picked the same team. So it's kind of similar to what Christian's saying about Amorim on Monday. That I do have a little bit of sympathy with him with Ugarte being suspended and Fernandes. He has to pick two midfielders, and okay, he should have started Mainu. Obviously, whether there's a push to protect him a little bit, to me, from my perspective, I don't think he looks right physically, Mainu. And it's obviously it would have been 3 games in like 7 days, I think, and obviously the Wolves was a disaster because Fernandes got sent off, and it was like, right, I can't use Mainu again, but it was just the wrong decision, clearly.
You need. I think they need more legs in there. I think they need Mainu from the start.
Well, that's something again that I want to get your take on, and so going back to the end, so at the day Ranić left the club and Ten Hag came in, if obviously the famous open heart surgery comment from Ranić, and as the season ended, Ranić was adamant about we have to. Obviously, he said sell 10 players and sign 10 players. He also said we need to raise the physicality in this squad, right? Massively. He said we can't compete with City. At the time, City were quite a powerful side. Liverpool, I think, in that towards the end of the season, they just overran us like they have done a lot. And there was other games as well and Ranić was like, we need to raise the athleticism in this squad massively. And we go into obviously then Ten Hag gets full control. And you think of the first 3 signings Ten Hag made. Martinez, not a great athlete. Anthony, really, really average athlete and footballer. Casemiro past his best athletically. So the first 3 signings, you're looking at, I don't know, let's say nearly 200 million, I'd say.
Eriksen was in as well.
Eriksen as well, but he was a free and he was useful for the time. But the 200 million went on them 3. It actually lowered our athleticism as a squad. After Ranić sat there and said, your team is getting run over weekly, right? Obviously, Ten Hag managed to tread water a little bit in that season because we were better. Rashford had a good season, and the defence was better. Varane was really good. Casemiro had a little bit of juice left. And then I just feel like we've not actually done anything that Ranić suggested with regards to the physicality of this team. It seems any team that can run against us are getting runners off the pitch. It's just...
You seem to have gone further away from it. I mean, the lineup against Newcastle was the complete opposite of what Ranić was suggesting. Yeah. You know what I mean? And hence why, like Joe Linton and Gamara, it was mad. They were just pressing you into oblivion. United the players didn't even look like they wanted to be there in that first 20 minutes.
They had no belief. Did they?
I think any of them would have happily walked off the pitch.
It does make me angry looking back. And look, Ten Hag spent badly generally, but it's like, where was Ten Hag was not there, right? I know he didn't want Ranić, and that's why it sort of went sour, or maybe the club got rid of him because of the press conferences. But the club were there. Why bring him in? And as he was meant to be a consultant, and he tells you the truth. He tells you this team cannot compete in the Prem athletically, and then allow a manager to come in and spend the best part of 600 million on players that aren't athletic enough in the Prem. And we wonder why now we're in this situation where it just feels like it's all caught up to me. Recruitment.
Yeah, the only player we've signed who's athletically good, you would say, has been injured all the way through. And I think he's not a really good football player as number 10 for Manchester United. And we spent 60 million on him. And we could have got him for free the next summer in Mason.
But even Mount, it's more sort of fitness rather than actual pace and power. You know, like he probably covers a lot of ground, and like you said, he's terrible on it. So it's almost like that net negative.
Just averages
on a yearly basis. He probably doesn't cover much ground if we take an average.
Well, it tells you how bad he is.
But
Yeah, it tells you how bad he is that he's he's barely played for 2 years, and I'm not bothered. I'm just
I
bothered
forget
that
you have him. He comes back after some mad hiatus, and I'm like, oh my god, he's back. And then by the end of the game, by the 70th minute, he's out again.
Yeah. But the thing is, the fitness isn't the reason he's a bad signing. He's just anybody who watched.
Him and Luke Shaw are playing tag team, aren't they? Just tagging each other into the fitness suite, aren't they?
When Call of Duty comes out, apparently that's when they time it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously we're here again, and it does feel like it. I remember Ollie coming into the Jose team. They need to get fitter straight away. Why is it every Ten Hag comes in? I'm going to run 12 kilometres with you because Brentford outran us and blasted us 4-0. What is there something going on deeper at this club where, okay, the recruitment has not prioritised powerful, pacey players that are good anyway? Is it just like, is there something bigger going on? Is like, I know Ronaldo slated all the chefs and what have you, but seriously, how are we this unfit? This dates back to, you could say 2017 now, where Ollie came in, not fit enough. Ten Hag said it. Ranić absolutely blasted him for it. And now we're here again, and Amorim's going, I'm using my 5 subs recklessly because they can only do an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, at what point are we going to draw the line and go, why can everybody else run 12 kilometres a game and high press? We're not even talking about Liverpool here. We're talking about Bournemouth, Brighton. These clubs are better off the ball than Man United. Like, it's just... It does my head in. And Newcastle, the latest team to come in and run us off the pitch. We're going to see it again on Sunday. Like, you already know what's going to happen. Like,
well, if we actually went through the team that started the other day, then who's not actually got it physically in them? I know Casemiro and Eriksen we spoke about. That's a bad selection. And bad signings. Well, not bad for Eriksen. It was a decent deal. Casemiro, good first season. But I think if you look at them, Ahmad's been pressing. Everyone's saying he's pressing really well. So he does. Højlund, I think, presses well, or at least has running in him. He can run up there. Xerxes was a bad selection. Shouldn't have played. I think Anaman should have realised that one. He doesn't look like a presser. He hasn't got the pace for the league. And then you're looking at Delo. I think Delo's I don't know what it is with Delo sometimes. I think he's got the legs to do it physically. He can do the job. He seems to switch off. I don't think maybe he's clever enough to do the amount of running in positional sense he's been asked to do.
Yeah.
And then Mazraoui doesn't look like he's physically a good football. He's technically a good football player. Physically, I don't think he's the best in terms of pressing and stuff.
Yeah, Mazraoui, I think is actually a really good signing, but he's a really good signing for a different system. If you want a guy who's just a solid right back, he's a great pickup.
Yeah,
however,
we played 4.
Now you've got this guy who's a great right back in more of a just a standard. He'll do his job in that position. Now you're going to want him to be a wing back, and I just can't see him being able to convert. So then you're like, we're going to have to dip in and replace him, and he's not even someone that you should be looking at replacing.
But I would like to see him go back to right centre back. I feel like that was. I felt like it suits him quite well. Ultimately, it looks like we're stuck in this system, which we'll come to the system in a minute. But just on the physical aspect of United, Christian. Obviously, me and Phil watch every single. I know you watch us as well, but we're watching it as fans, and we might be too emotional. What do you think is going? Like, why are we every single season now? I don't know this for facts, but I'm getting. They touch on it, don't they, on Sky? The 19th in the league for distance covered and sprints, and this goes back to like the Mourinho days. What is it? Is it personnel, attitude, or?
I think. Listen, you've got a clear problem with the players, haven't you? For a long time. However, you've got to rely on like your backroom staff, and the whole of the club should be set up to get rid of this problem. You should have the staff in place that make sure the running is there in training, and therefore on match day they're able to produce. But it just seems like United need an absolute, just a complete wipeout of the staff and to start again, because like you said, how has it got to this stage where every season it's the same story? You keep switching the manager, he's bringing in his new guys, and the problem's still there. So is it that the players are that toxic, they just can't be arsed, whoever's coming in, and they're like, we're not doing it, this is the way we do things? I'd say with players like Rashford, that is certainly where his head's at.
Yeah, I don't
Off the
disagree.
pitch as well. I mean, are they? You know, it's at home. What are they keeping themselves in shape at home? Are they eating the right foods, drinking? It doesn't feel like that to me.
No.
Why when I watch Liverpool, pretty much every week, certainly this season, but even in the Klopp era, it's why are we watching them press with intensity? This is okay. You can be better at football. You can have a better touch. You can be a better finisher, dribbler, shooter, whatever. But sort of, if you've got a reasonable football brain and good fitness, and you are organised, which is a separate aspect. Maybe we're struggling tactically. Why can they not sort of press the way other teams can press? It's like we are so easily bypassed. It's not even like the Tielemans assist against you, Christian, on what was it, Boxing Day? Before Boxing Day, where he turned Stones and played a great pass through. On Monday, and I know it's a bad example because Ugarte was missing and we had Ericsson and Casemiro in there. It's like it's just so easy. It's not even like a great bit of skill in centre mid. They just rotate the ball slightly and they're through. And it's like
I think it's an interesting point though, because you made that point now with City, and like we were saying last week, we've actually got a similar problem now with physicality in our side. But we've come to that after slogging it out, winning trophy after trophy, and ultimately, I just think players are getting to the end of it. That's as simple as it is. We need a freshen up. United have no reason to be like that. They've been doing this post Fergie.
Yeah.
Certainly since David
remember,
Moyes, they've never been at the level
But-
in terms of even fitness and putting in enough per game.
Honestly, I just want to touch just on the fitness as well, and I do remember this. This is an actual statistic. It was around the Mane Salah team with Firmino that when that front three was really rolling for Liverpool. And I remember they did it might have been on a Monday Night Football, and it was at the time it was Martial, Rashford, and might have been Lukaku team. And they put the running stats on. Mane was up at about 12k a game, right? Martial 9.5, Rashford 9.7. We're talking like 2 kilometres less a game for a team that has more of the ball. By the way, Liverpool had more possession than United. It's lazy. It frustrates me so much.
I think it comes down to as well. I don't know what you boys think, especially you, Phil. Do you think certain United players have had way too long at the club? Like, for instance, they've not cut it in 2 years. Usually at other top clubs, they're moved on. And I think United have given them this benefit of the doubt. I know you like Martial, Alex, so probably bad example to use. But in my opinion, he couldn't fit into that bracket more clearly if we tried. You know what I mean? And you've got a few of them players where I just think United have kept trying year after year. How are these guys getting 7 years at the football club?
I think that's fair. I think we've just given somebody another extension, haven't we, Mr. Maguire? Who just seemed like a bad signing. I mean, he started off all right under Ole, and then he kind of lost his way, and we wanted him removed from captaincy because he wasn't doing the team. Ronaldo arrived, and he was obviously lost the dressing room that way, and he got conflicted. Ten Hag seemed to be totally convinced he wasn't the right choice for him, wanted to replace him, and then I think it was second season he started playing him again because obviously through injuries. But then he got Varane back and he stuck with Maguire for a bit, and you're like, but he's not the end, he's not the solution. So why are we doing it? Yeah. Amorim, he's just coming like I just don't understand how he must be aware of this. He must have watched football like Manchester United. Everybody pretty much watches Manchester United against somebody at some point. They would have known everything. It's all over the social media how people are playing. He's not been in the England squad for a while. How will we now give him another contract because he's played a good game against Man City last week? He was shocking on against Newcastle. I don't understand what we're doing. Like
that's Phil Jones. That's just Phil Jones part two. That
right. So these players come back and they show a bit of a glimpse, or we'll give him another contract. I mean, going back to Martial as well. He was another player, very talented player. He'll give you a bit of a glimpse. Ten Hag give him a fair whack at it, a season and a half until he just wasn't available anymore, and it's like. Oh, we've gone again down that road, and I think we should have cut the lines off a few times. Yeah, I think.
I think just on that point where you talk about glimpses, and I do think, look, United as a club don't take a step back and see bigger pictures. I do think these glimpses they seem to come at times when they need a contract, and these players, even though they look thick on the pitch, they do time these really well. If you remember when Ollie came in. some of them, Martial particularly, was rolling under Ollie, gets the deal, stops. Fernandes, really, I mean, he's ended the season pretty well. He's been tossed this season. Absolute terrible. You know, Rashford's the absolute pinnacle of this, where he shows, okay, 12 months, maybe not even that sometimes, gets his big deal, fucking terrible for 2 years.
It seems like business. It seems like business moves from United's point of view, because they have this. A lot of your contracts, we trigger an extra year. A lot of your contracts, when you sign a player, you have this year extension thing.
No, that's what this is.
You should have. The thing is, though, this is why I don't get, boys. If you've got to 3 years into that contract, you should be shifting them then, if they're shit, or giving them a new contract. Then United wait until the 5th year into the contract, and then they're giving them another year because they're forced to protect the value.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're looking at Maguire. I mean, look, you know my opinion on Maguire. He should have. We can't. We just cannot sell him. And now I would have cut my losses. It is another example of we renew a player or we keep these players, and we don't replace them, and we can't keep being in this cycle of, well, he's not the worst. It's just constant, and this is. You know, we were talking about Fernandes on maybe 2 pods ago, or the last one, Christian, and obviously, you know, we did a short on Fernandes, and I said that he's a stat padder with bad stats, and the general reaction to that on social media by United fans is he's not the worst. What we keep doing is we're stuck in this time warp of keeping the ones that aren't the worst, but are the highest paid and meant to be the best. Yeah. Of course he's not the worst. He's meant to be the best player. He's the captain. But is he good enough in that role? Why are we going, well, Mount's worse than him? Well, obviously. But Mount's not playing every week. So we keep the underperforming best players because there's someone shitter. Like, what is that?
I mean, Bruno Fernandes is protected because he is the worst player in a very bad team. Sorry, the best player in the bad team. But he wouldn't get into any good United team from 10 years ago. He's one of the most frustrating players we have, and I wouldn't make him captain because he's been sent off 3 times this season, hasn't he? Most of the time he's reaching out trying to tackle somebody he shouldn't. Even if the Spurs one was a mistake, shouldn't be making that tackle. He's inviting this kind of this sort of thing onto him.
I mean, look,
he's not the captain. He's not a captain. He's a petulant player. You know what? He runs around. He does put a shift in. But he looks like he's trying too hard. He looks frustrated. I don't know. He's just not the type of character you'd have. And I do agree that his stats are not up to scratch. And for some reason, if you say that, I've heard this on other podcasts and stuff I listen to. Oh yeah, but he's making chance creation. How good are these chances? Like, how good are they? It's Højlund missing open goals because I don't think he is. So how good are these chances? Like,
I'm so glad you brought that up because this chances created statistic is the worst. It actually beats XG for me. Because it's not measurable. It's down to its opinions ultimately. Yeah. Because if you look at the top 5, I haven't got it to hand, so don't quote me on this. I bet you any money there's at least 1 defender in there. Probably Arnold. Might be 2. That kid at Fulham might be in there. The left back Robinson.
Gvardiol, mate, he can't defend, so I hope he's up there somewhere.
Yeah. All it is chance creation. He lumped the ball in the box and it was nearly somebody got their head on it and it went wide. That's not a chance. Because then have you noticed the other one? The evolution of that, big chances created. So what's a chance then?
Yeah.
Because what's a big chance?
Who's measuring that as well? Is this Gary Neville sat at home going, that's a big chance? Because I'll tell you what is measurable: goals, and assists, and yellow cards. And I said it to you two today. Bruno Fernandes has had more yellow cards than goals in his last 3 seasons. Sorry, excluding penalties.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculously bad. And like you said, Phil, the next thing you say that to someone, a Bruno lover, they'll go, here's this stat, he's created the most chances in 2024. It's not measurable, mate. I'm sorry. I can show you stats that are measurable and they're terrible.
Well, we all watch the games as well, don't we? So
the most creating open goals for people.
The most frustrating thing with Bruno is that, and I don't think we can ever win anything of substance like a title when he's in your team as number 10 because he's wasteful, too wasteful. Now I get you got to try and do something sometimes. I have to chance it to create something, but he plays every minute of every match, and there's been matches, especially big matches, where he's just constantly giving the ball away, trying to play stupid 50-yard over the top, over his shoulder volley passes over to someone on the other side of the pitch, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, keep the ball, try and settle the team down. You're the captain. You're supposed to show the team what we should be doing in moments. And I get it. I've seen players over the years who have tried as many through balls as they possibly can do. One of my favourite players used to do it all the time. Giggs used to do it all the time. Throwing the ball, and you'd be like, you need to stop doing that. And mentally, he knew sometimes, right, we need to keep the ball now. Or Fergie would have actually pulled him off the pitch. We've got managers who are afraid to drop Bruno Fernandes. That's a major issue. Yeah. I've seen all the players all the great players. I can't think of any. I've seen Rooney pulled up, dragged off the pitch for playing, shit. I've seen all of them do it. So I don't understand why Bruno Fernandes is untouchable number 10 captain material where we can't sub him off the pitch. If he's having a shocker, he should be told to change it or get off the pitch. I really don't see why we should be keeping him around that.
It's like the almost the squad building of this club in the last probably since he's been here. He's only been here 5-6 years. It feels longer. But it feels like the squad is built to almost, you can't. So he was suspended on Monday. We don't have anybody to play because obviously we signed Van der Beek as his backup. Doesn't get a minute because, like you said, he doesn't get injured. Don't get dropped, don't get subbed. So it doesn't matter. You could bring in Musiala. If he sat on the bench, Bruno's going to hog every minute.
Yeah.
It's an issue in the squad that he can't get hooked. Because
Van der Beek didn't get a kick, did he? I mean, it was mostly injured, which is just one of those things.
Nobody's looking back and thinking, okay, he should have got more of a chance. But it's
who's getting these understudy number 10s injured? That's what I don't know. Mount and then Van der Beek.
The thing is, it doesn't matter if they're not injured because they're not going to play, like you said.
Okay. Look, when he first arrived, I liked him. I liked what he was doing, but he seems to have become too much of the everything's around what he does. He's now the captain, and I mean, they must be doing something that the managers can't drop him. I mean, it's like they all have to pick him, and Amarim's another one who will just pick him all the time.
It looks that way, doesn't it? Another one, and the thing is, it does fit with Fernandes. He is your. I don't want to say Lampard because they're not similar players. I'm meaning it in the ilk of that. If Lampard didn't score or assist, he probably was a 6 out of 10 at best.
Yeah.
If Iniesta didn't score or assist, he could have been man of the match. Yeah. Fernandes is in the Lampard bracket of if he has no returns, he's shite.
Yeah, he's not influential really.
So the point is, in all of his seasons, his first 2 years, Fernandes was productive, and we turned a blind eye to a lot of it because he got 18 goals in the league. Okay, bunch of pens, so what? I mean, and probably he was up to about 10 assists. I can't remember off the top of my head. So you're looking at 40 goals assists from a number 10. I'll take that every single day. I don't care if he's losing it. If we've got 40% of the ball. Now you're looking at. I bet you Trent Alexander-Arnold's probably close on goals and assists to him. In the last 3 seasons, I bet you he's probably close. I could probably have a look at it post-pod, but I would guess he is.
Yeah,
a right back.
I just think I don't know how we got onto the subject of Bruno, but he is one of the main issues when it comes to I think the future of the club as well. Where we're going to play, that we have in number 10. Is he going to play a different position? He shouldn't be one of the centre mids in this team anyway. That's what I.
Phil, who do you think? I asked my brother on one of the other pods. Who do you think? With Amarim, he's got a huge rebuild. I mean, I know there's a lot of restrictions with how much you can spend, and you've got to offload before you buy. But who do you think you should keep and base the squad around? Do you think there's a spine existing within the squad, or do you think you really need to flush out probably the majority?
I think. Well, I mean, this might lead on to the next one about the actual system, but I've said. I think Mainu is the main player I'll be looking to build around. I know it's dangerous to build around one player because he might get injured, break his leg next week, but you've got a really talented football player there who doesn't really suit playing a 2 centre midfield selection. He's not really played as a 10 before. He's built for a 3, and we've moved to we're now playing this formation. So I would be looking to build a team around him, and I don't think he's won the confidence of the manager yet. I think he will do. I think the substitute appearance last match might have got him some leeway, got some confidence in him from the manager. He obviously knows he's a talented player, but until he sees it himself, and he hasn't been, he's either not fit or not in form this season. He has been injured a little bit, but on form and when he's fit, he's one of the best players we have. He's a youth player for Manchester United.
I think it's an interesting point you make, though. Are we going to see that? Are we going to see the best of him under Amorim if Amorim is consistent that he needs to play this system? Because ultimately, like you just said, he's better in a 3. If he's going to have to play in a 2, are we going to see the best of Mainu?
This is linked to the Fernandes conversation we just had. Fernandes is you play Fernandes, you have to play one way. You have to play in a two behind him. Every single team he's been in, you see Portugal try it and play him in a 4-3-3, and they're rubbish.
Yeah.
Ollie, right, and this is coming from someone who criticised Ollie to hell for this. Ollie is the only one who actually built a foundation for that guy to play from. I'm not saying, by the way, if McTominay and Fred were still here, he would be better. I think Fernandes has regressed, and I do think he's past his best physically as well. I think playing these 98% of the games is catching up earlier than some. But this is the thing around Fernandes. You ship him out the door. Okay, people might be like, "Well, he's your best player." Like, we've got people literally say that now. But it reminds me of when Liverpool, when Klopp had Coutinho, Mane, Firmino, and Salah, and if you remember that team, they had to play 4-2-3-1 because they had those 4 up top. And this is Coutinho in his prime, by the way. And when Barcelona came in for him, everyone was like, "That's terrible for Liverpool. Coutinho's getting poached." What actually happened was they brought in a Wijnaldum into that midfield 3 and let the front 3 just go berserk for 3 years.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that what we do, we're not doing that. We're trying to force Mainu into this 2-man midfield because of him. It's it's just frustrating, man. Because you won't play Iniesta in a midfield 2. And we're talking about a one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, he's not fit. He's not suited to that position. He's not suited to that system.
And then this feeds into the system that we're going to get into. Well, we can get into it now, to be honest, because obviously I know, Phil, you've got strong thoughts about this. But this is linked to the owners, the Ineos handpicking a guy, and obviously they've had, from what we're hearing from Amorim, they've had conversations where we want you to come in and play your way. And in fairness to Amorim, he's going, "Well, I can't play any other way. So this is it." And it's like, well, like you said, you could ship Fernandes, but you're still playing 2 in midfield.
Yeah,
I just find that mad though. I'm sat talking to 2 United fans, right, and you've both pretty much said you're gonna have to build the team around Mainu, but you've got a manager here. You've got a manager in who is really not going to cater. His system does not cater for Mainu in the slightest. If anything, it hinders him. And you've not got any players in your team currently that system actually suits.
Well, you're
gonna need some quality wing backs that you're gonna need to dip into the market. Like you might need to go and get like Grimaldo, or you're gonna need a player that you're gonna get some sort of produce from left or right wing back.
Look, we've seen it now. Obviously, the only game we did okay in was against City, and to be fair, City are probably at our level of athleticism. It's fair to say. Since then, we haven't scored a goal, and we've been run off the pitch by 3 teams.
Yeah,
and the defending's got worse.
I think the Everton game, he even said afterwards it flattered us. I think Everton started well. We scored a couple of times, and we got the win. And was it 4?
It was 4-0 in the end, yeah. Which is obviously,
I think this flattered us, which is fair. I think. Back to I think Højlund, Mainu. I think Højlund, I'm a bit. Yeah, I think there's potential. I would have got another striker with him. I think Mainu, Yoro, De Ligt, I like Mazraoui. I think they're the kind of players I'd keep. I'm happy with.
I'd chuck Ugarte in there.
Ugarte's okay.
I suppose there's 2 conversations here. Are we talking to win a league title, or are we talking about just being good again? Because to win a league title, you could just probably say Mainu at this point.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But they're
and
they're
even
the
that we
players I
haven't
would
seen
say.
yet, you know.
They're the players I'd say, Christian, that I would probably keep and try and build around. But
Yeah.
a lot of those players I've just mentioned probably don't sit with this manager in terms of what he wants to do. I mean, I don't know how to get into this formation, but I'm very much against the back three. I've always said this to Alex. I didn't like Van Gaal messing with it. I didn't like maybe it's just my because I've been watching United. You know, they always played 4-4-2 from like when I was a kid in the early '90s when they first won the title, and we always played a back four. But I think I just always thought the worst teams in the league always played with a back three, and it was always more of a back five. The Italian teams are the only teams I can really think of who are very good at doing it. And that's because they probably produce really good centre backs. They have don't really come up with wingers. They always come up with attacking fullbacks. So, I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I can't remember many Italian wingers who were They always have really good number 10s like Del Piero or Baggio. They never really come up with a winger. They always have that 10, Totti, and then they have the wing backs who do the roles that down the outside. You've got a back three.
Zambrotta style players.
Yeah. And then you've got, I mean, back to the English League, I know we'll come to the one team who did it. We've never seen a successful team doing anything other than a back four, and then 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, 4-5-1, whatever you want to go about it. Even Pep's team that does sometimes sit with a three at the back, there's always somebody who'll join into the back four mostly, apart from maybe towards the end of the treble season when they kind of pushed it a bit further than usual to get a bit, an extra player in there. And I can't imagine anybody picking a World 11 at any point in my lifetime where they would have gone, I'm going to go 3-4-3, right? And do it without it being like some kind of FIFA abomination where you've got stupid players playing in stupid positions. Realistic team, I don't think you'd ever pick the best players in the world and put them in that formation. So that's why I was always going to be hesitant when I'm thinking, if you want to be Barcelona, you want to be Real Madrid in the Premier League, I wouldn't be doing this kind of formation. I don't think this is the future of a championship winning side. Wouldn't be playing the system. And I do like the manager. I like the way he comes across. I like he's a charismatic bastard, isn't he? And he's got lots of hair, which helps after Ten Hag. But he does suit the part. But I mean, I just don't think this formation, because he seems very wedded to it. I'm just like, I can't see it working. And I know. Yeah.
Look, I mean, obviously, it seems like when he came in, we didn't know too much of the conversation between Ineos and Ruben. It feels like now we're getting into it where they are well aware of Amorim's plans for coming to this club, and they also must know about his abilities as a manager.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I don't know if it's getting lost in translation, but he's basically saying, I don't know how to play any other way. And I said to Christian on the last one, he's a young coach. He's fell on this that really, really has worked for him and delivered, albeit in a lesser league. It actually makes sense that he's sat here now. He can't go into Carrington and go, you know what, lads, forget everything I've done in my short coaching career. Let's go 4-3-3. And I agree, that's a big issue on flexibility. And I like Ruben as well. I think he's got a lot of qualities. But I'm looking at this like, I mean, to make the change and have no pre-season for him, these conversations, I would love to have been a fly on the wall with Ineos and Amorim, 2 months ago, because I'm astounded that the owners think that this squad can play in this system.
Yeah.
Look, Amorim, in fairness, he did come in and go, he was getting hammered with questions. They sold Ten Hag under the bus, like, what, they're going to do the same to you, and he was dressing them up, saying, no, the good lads that they'll be good for me and stuff like that. I'm not saying they're intentionally playing badly. They're just not. Well, like you said, it's square. It's more square pegs than we had with the last manager.
Yeah, they're just not at that level at all.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think on 3-4-3, Christian?
I feel like it has a short lifespan, even at its best. I feel like we're going to go on to obviously the Chelsea, but even a good example would be Tuchel. When they won the Champions League and City played that mad thing in the final, basically gifted it. I feel like whether it's the players that hate the system, I just feel like it doesn't last long even under Conte, apart from at Inter, it just doesn't seem to be that it's a long, like it's going to have much of a future.
Yeah.
But you know what I
No,
mean? You need, and also it's very specific you need very specific players to play that system. It's like when Conte went to Tottenham, first thing he does is sign Perisic. Is that going to be, like Phil was saying, I'm guessing you're alluding to the fact you're sacrificing a top forward to have pretty average wing backs. Are they going to carry you over the line, really? You're sacrificing a forward that you could potentially go and spend big on, and they could get you 20, 30 goals from out wide, to have a wing back like, he does a job like a Perisic, or I don't know who else we can think of that kind of does that role. Are you really going to get enough, apart from your odd one like Trent, which are going to be seriously hard to find? I just don't know how it's going to work. And especially for United, with the money they'll have to spend, you're going to have to overhaul that whole squad to get any sort of production out of a 3-4-3.
From what I mean, like we said, didn't we, that we want to get into the Conte team. It's probably a good sort of a good time to do that, really, because I've obviously looked at it today, and this is the only real 3-4-3 team that's won the Prem. He played consistently, and obviously Conte, like you said, he went to Spurs and tried it, failed, and obviously the big focus. Carragher did a segment on the wing backs, and I agree. Like, since Ahmad has moved from right wing back, we have been terrible, and this is someone who likes Ahmad as a 10. The problem is we have now got 5 defenders who offer nothing offensively, and the 2 wing backs don't offer anything specifically in Dalot and Mazraoui. I just want to talk about. I do think the wing backs are important, but I actually think you need star quality in this system. I'm just looking at Chelsea's system here, right? So you've got back 3 of Azpilicueta, Luis, Cahill. Azpilicueta right back, very good defender, playing as a right centre back. Reminds me of Mazraoui a little bit, where he's not a centre back, but he can play there. Azpilicueta did that really well. Luis, okay, bit of an idiot, but good on the ball. The wing backs were Victor Moses and Marcus Alonso. They don't blow you away as amazing wing backs. I actually think this is where you have to get really good in the system, and I think the 2 midfield and the striker and one of the 10s has to be verging on best in the league. I don't think you can get away with a Henderson and Wijnaldum.
No.
So you've got Kante and Matic, prime Matic.
Yeah,
we know Kante was probably the best centre mid in the league at what he did. And then you have Diego Costa, probably the best 9 at that time, with probably Aguero, and Hazard. And then they had Pedro on the right, who was a bit of a workhorse, who chipped in with a few. I actually think that the 2 centre mids and the 10 and the forward have to be. It's not just good; they have to be, and you have to have a Hazard. You have to have a ridiculously good player for this to work, because when Van Gaal did it with Holland, he had Robben.
Yep. A ridiculously good dribbler. A ball carrying dribbler.
A real get me out of jail card. And Matic and Kante is a cheat code anyway. I mean, to just stumble across that in his was it his first season at the club, Conte?
Yeah.
Honestly, I forgot how good that team was. You reeling the names off there. I'm not surprised. They should have won everything.
I mean, that box is. Those 2 centre mid. I don't even know the bench. I've not even looked at the bench. But and Courtois was in goal.
You had all them players in the prime as well, like Hazard, Costa, Matic.
I think they signed
Kante
that summer.
Looking at that side, though, what I would say is, like, Alonso, say for instance, was a terrible left back. He's not going to get picked for any team at left back. He's also a terrible left winger. But as a wing back, he's so good offensively. He chipped in with a lot of goals. I don't know if that was just from headers, but he scored a few goals playing from that position. And it kind of suited him very well. And it suited Hazard, because he's not somebody who's going to run back, playing as a left attacker.
I mean, just behind
and Moses. He's another one who's not a good winger. Moses isn't a great winger, but he's kind of suits in that. So you're looking for 2 players. They're both quite good offensively, and what we look at United team at the moment are 2 players who are better defensively than they are offensively. They might be comfortable on the ball, Mazraoui and Dalot to a certain extent, but they're not offensively going to come up with lots of assists, goals, or anything in the final third.
No,
So
you're right.
It
It only
suited the
suits
team.
players like that, like a failed winger, basically, like a Jesus Navas
absolutely.
or an Ashley Young.
This is it.
Ashley Young.
But this is the thing. The segment you talked about wing backs, and the segment on Monday night was it's actually, like you said. I actually think finding the wing backs is not the problem here. I think you need that star quality in this team.
Yep.
Like, look, we're a bad example because our players are crap in multiple systems. So this isn't me going, oh, it's a problem with 3-4-3. Some of them are just shit. Like it's not like I went through it with Christian Phil with the sample size this season of Ten Hag versus Amorim, and it's very very similar.
Yeah,
the stats are very similar. Points per game, Ten Hag actually had slightly better stats points per game than Amorim. I think he had 11 in 9, and Amorim's got 7 in 8. I think. And Amorim's got 9 goals in 8 games. Ten Hag was 8 goals in 9. So we're basically a point a game and a goal a game side in 2 systems this season, right? So basically, you're looking at this team and you're going, oh, why don't we try Garnacho there? Why don't we try Ahmad there? Some of these players are just shit.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, it's not a case of going, oh, Garnacho should be good at left wing back. Maybe on FIFA he might be, because he's probably quick and he's probably got offensive ability on FIFA, which he hasn't in real life. And Dallow's not even left. Dallow's not even a left back, right? And he's not good going forward. It's just like
I do feel sorry for Dalot in that sense that he's not going to produce anything from there. But at the same time, like I don't like the formation. So.
He can't cross, he can't shoot. He's reasonably well at receiving it and progressing it 10 yards.
It looks all right on the ball. I mean,
like you said, Alonso and Moses will between them, I would imagine, have got maybe 7 goals between them that year.
I think Alonso was quite productive in that position, but he's a failed left back. He's not a good left back. You wouldn't pick him in.
No. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It kind of suited the players that they had at the time, and then after they won the title, it fell apart. Didn't it? I can't really remember what happened with that side.
Hazard had a dip year, like he did sort of go in and out. The difference with Hazard is that when he was on his game, he was the best player in the league. The difference, you might say, with Rashford is his best season he's pretty good left winger.
Yeah, well,
he's not even really PFA player. PFA Team of the Year ever, really, is he, Rashford?
No.
If Hazard's had a great season, he's the best player in the league.
What you would say, though, sorry to cut you off, about those two you talk about, Kante and Matic, right?
Yes.
You would say they are 2 players who you wouldn't say are like, they're not Pirlo, Scholes, Xavi. They don't really want to get the ball and receive it and spray the ball out. They are workhorses, physical players, right? They're good on the ball. They're not the best in the league in the ball. So really, possession wasn't there. It wasn't held in that position, was it? Which is what I think we should be doing with United, with Manu, is holding the possession in the middle.
Yeah.
Instead, we've got the possession being passed around with Harry Maguire, De Ligt, and that at the back. The front 3, the 2 10s, none of them are Hazard. None of them are... The striker's not Costa. So what we're doing, I don't know. But the 2 centre mids for Chelsea, whilst being good on the ball, were the players who held the ball. They would try and get the ball to Hazard. They would try and get the players into those positions where they could affect the game. At the moment, who we're getting on the ball, Ahmad's been playing well. He's a good player. I like him. I don't think he's ready for that, a top side for that position. He should be in and out. Bruno's been out of form. He shouldn't be starting every single game. Garnacho, it doesn't suit him. I don't think he's technically up to the level to be a dribbler in that position. I don't think he should do it wide. Never mind. In like an inside left, it will be tighter in there. So we're struggling. We're struggling there.
We are. I mean, this is it. You go play for player, like you touched on there with Manu. Manu could not be further from a Kante or a Matic.
He's not physically. I think he could get better physically. I'll give him that. I think he should get better physically.
Yeah,
but technically,
look. I mean, Kante and Matic were good. Kante was good on the ball. You don't want to just dress him down to a Makalele who rotated the ball. Kante and Matic also could progress it quickly.
Yeah,
they were. Look, I'm not saying they're good dribblers, but you know what I mean. They could eat 10 yards up quite quickly with the ball. which maybe can, to be fair. So there's that comparison. But like you said, Matic and Kante created that wall for the back three.
Yeah.
We have no wall. We have no legs.
Yeah.
Maybe gives us a bit of progression, and you know, it's just so obvious how we are failing at this. The only caveat to that is, like I touched on earlier, and me and Christian went through it on the last one, was looking at the 4-2-3-1 of Eric, the 9 games at the beginning of the season, and the Amorim 8 games so far. Probably going to be another loss, so call it 9. This
Nice and optimistic.
Well, yeah. This is it. I mean, if we've no time for the preview, no problem.
Read between the lines.
Yeah, but the thing, yeah. So just on the squad, this squad of players has proven to me this season. Okay, last season was better than this, which is a crazy thing to say. This squad have proven to me they are shit in a system they know. They're slightly shitter in a system they don't know. Just looking at it as like taking a step away from Eric out, Amorim out, Eric in, Amorim in. If you just take a back step and look at the black and white statistics of 2 managers, 2 systems, same squad, a point a game. A point a game is 38 points. You can go down with 38 points.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just simple as that. And this is on Amorim now. He's going to have to find something.
Everyone's laughing the relegation thing off, but honestly, they were laughing it off probably in the 70s when, there's a film about it or documentary, Too Good to Go Down. Everyone thought they were too good.
Yeah.
United went down. So I'm not saying we are going to, but we should really consider we could be in the bottom 5 or 6 if we carry on the way we are doing at the moment.
Christy, what do you think about the progression is 3-4-3 for the rest of the season? Say, look, who knows what's going to happen in Jan? Who knows what's going to happen with Rashford? What do you think? United can't go down financially. They can go down, to Phil's point, but they need to. They can't basically. What do we do?
I said, do you remember on the first one, and we were talking about Amorim and how he's not really going to be flexible, and he's saying I've got no other idea than this. We're going to be playing it, and I said,
terrible quote by the way.
You're going to have a few. I just said you're going to have a few results like that Bournemouth one. And then the Newcastle one happened. And the thing is, these are teams around you as well. And then you look around it, and it's like, where are you picking up the points? Because if you are going midfield, if you are comparing, say, at the start of every game, like that Joe Linton, Guimaraes situation, if you are doing that every single time, you're like, God, Fulham are better in this situation as well. And then it's like, where are we actually going to pick up the points? So I do know what you mean. We're in a similar situation, not as bad. I was saying this to Alex Phil the other day, and I was like, the only difference at the minute between City and United is we've got players that will produce moments, whereas you haven't even got the moments. So we'll have the odd game where KDB will roll back the ears, he's going to fire across to Haaland, and Haaland is always going to be a constant getting goals. Yeah. He guarantees you minimum 25 a season, even if he's playing shit. United, unfortunately, have not even got the moments. So I don't really know what you're relying on other than picking up some players in the transfer market, which I think massively important. That you've got to move on, get rid of this Rashford situation.
We do have to
get drawn out any further and try and get someone in. If you can get Guy Perez with Amorim's connection, get him.
Yeah, I think with Rashford, he looks like he's finished, doesn't it, at United? Because otherwise he'd be back in the squad earlier. He didn't even get on the pitch against Newcastle. He must have really done something to really have pushed it to this far, right?
We spoke about this, yeah.
We don't know what it is.
My opinion on this is on Rashford. I think Ineos want him gone. I just can't. If he's on the bench, when he's dropped out the squad, that could have just been Amorim and his discipline, right?
Yeah.
Bringing him to the bench, that to me says attitude sorted. Not bringing him on says don't get him injured. We want to sell him.
Possibly.
It's just the only way I can. Nobody. Look, none of us here are saying that Rashford deserves to play for Man United. However, he's better than Anthony. And he's better than
There's no eventuality where he don't get on that pitch in that game.
So, Amorim is not that. He's not that stupid to go. I need 2 goals here. Anthony, come here. It must be deeper than that.
Yeah, I think. I don't know where we stand with Rashford. My main issue with the 3-4-3 is that we're going to go out and buy some wing backs who, and I know you're saying that if you buy a good left wing back, they'll be good enough for. But is it Regulon who plays for Spurs? Oh, he did play for Spurs. He can't play left back, so you know what I mean. Like you will usually. I don't feel that way about it. So I am worried that we're going to sign players. If we go out and sign a striker, then fine. If we go out and buy a player who could potentially play as a winger in the future, then fine. But if we go out and buy, they can only play a wing back, and we're going to do that. And we spend a lot of money on it. I'm worried about. I know we've spent money in the previous, but if we're building for the future, and the future of Manchester United is going to be a wingless Manchester United, I'm not too sure I'm into that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to work.
Christian mentioned it with Perisic, didn't he? Where it's like you're going down the failed winger route if you want to avoid 5 defenders playing. To me personally, let's just say hypothetically, Alphonso Davies, we can get him right. He to me can play both positions well. I don't know how well he's good at wing back. He's never played there. I'm just looking at it from what I think. Nuno Mendes at PSG is another one that you think could be good in both positions. Again, I don't watch enough of the guy. I'm probably just taking a bit of a outside the box view here. If we want to go down failed wingers route, that is a bad idea. You can't be going for your like you said, Christian, maybe Navas from 3 years ago because he's like an Antonio Valencia. These types of players. I wouldn't be doing that. I think that's stumping the growth of the team.
I think initially where United have got to move, like you said, Alex, I think you've got to, or it might have been you, Phil, I think you've got to move on a striker because at least you're lacking goals. You need goals from somewhere. So at the end of the day, if you go and get a top-class striker, it doesn't matter if you end up, I'm not saying this will happen, but if you end up with a different manager and you end up in a different system, at least the striker is going to be a mainstay. If you go out and spend a load of money on wing-backs and then suddenly, like you were just saying, they're not good enough to play left-back and right-back, you're then in a massive mess.
So just on the attack so far this season, so the statistics, this is not really linked. Oh no, in fairness, it is because Dalot and Mazraoui are typically the spare guys, and they do hinder us offensively. But in fairness, they weren't scoring under Ten Hag in a 4-2-3-1. So we have currently scored 21 goals this season, and that is more than Palace, Everton, Ipswich, and Southampton. So we've got the 15th best attack in the league in a league of 20 teams, and Palace have got 20. So we're verging on one lower than that. So, like, this is the attackers should be holding their heads in shame. And I know Amarim's going to. I mean, Christ, if this carries on, he won't even get to the summer. But obviously, Ten Hag got battered for this. I battered Ten Hag for this. The attackers of Manchester United, you going out wearing that shirt, and you're the 15th best attack in the league after half a season in multiple systems, by the way. Don't even be blaming 3-4-3 for this, because they were shit under Ten Hag. It's just a disgrace. It is a disgrace. And like Keane said it on the overlap, didn't he? People would be getting murdered if we were 14th. Yeah. The squad posting celebrations. Are you joking? Garnacho posted a celebration of an offside goal earlier in the season.
Yeah.
I hate this. I hate this squad. I would say, I know you like Højlund, Phil. I don't see it personally. I didn't like Lukaku. I don't like that style of striker that on any given 15-minute spell in a game, they just can't control the ball. I hate strikers like that. And like you talk about wingers at Man United, I hate Lukaku. Zlatan, in fairness, could get hold of it. But again, it's that big striker who I don't really see it at Man United. And also, I don't even know if he's technically that good either. Like, he gets a lot of his goals in Europa, Carabao, shit teams in the Prem. Like, fuck it, honestly. Like,
I think with Højlund, I mean, he did get some Champions League goals. But I think I see the raw potential in him. I think, he's got rapid pace. I think he's got a great left foot shot on him. I think right foot shot on him, great. We just don't get him in the positions a lot of the time to use these kind of tools he's got. Most of the time he's having a wrestling match, and he's not, even though he looks like he's built for it, I don't think he is that kind of player. No. I think he wants to be facing the other way and wants to be chasing after a through ball that's going through. And we hardly ever get him into that position.
But then is that too, even if he is elite at those two things, and I think that's debatable, is that good enough for Matt? Because
no, I agree.
If we get to where we get to, and look, City have this with Haaland a bit, where teams sit back, but Haaland is so good in the box. He dominates. Hoyland doesn't, and his movement's not great either. That's another thing.
Yeah.
You see a lot
I
of these
think
crosses going across the face. He's not there.
Yeah, I think he can improve. I think his potential. We bought potential. He really
Yeah,
needs a Cavani type around him.
yeah,
That's the type of player we should really be looking for, like a
yeah,
wise that's available. Because I don't
yeah.
think there's a world class striker we could actually get right now. And I know
No,
everyone's saying the lad in Sporting, and that's great.
yeah,
But I think Hoyland would be doing good in that league. I really do, because
potentially. Yeah,
this lad was at Coventry. Do you know, he was available. Brighton let him
yeah,
go. He's suddenly hit for me. What is he, 25, 26? And I think Hoyland is 21, isn't he? I
yeah,
think in a couple of years' time, if Hoyland was playing in the Portuguese league, he'd be doing the same thing. That's where my belief is.
yeah.
But I do agree. We need another striker who's number one. Xerxes was a bad choice, and Rashford's not going to come back play for us anymore. And
I'm concerned
we
about
are
the rest
we
of
are
the
lacking there. I would definitely buy in that position more than a wing back.
I'm
I know.
concerned. I'm concerned about the season if say Rashford is done, because he has got 3 goals under Amorim and then he's been completely frozen out. I don't disagree with that, by the way. I've had
Yeah.
enough of Rashford. The off the pitch stuff, the performance in the Europa League was just an absolute disgrace before City. He deserved to go. The problem is we've dropped him, and we've not scored in 3 of the 4 league games after we dropped
Yeah.
him, and we've not looked like scoring.
I think the thing is with Rashford as well, if you are moving him on, like you say, you're going to have to make sure you get someone that's at least capable of getting 7, 8 goals after he leaves, which it
How
leaves
do
you in a
we
bit of a
let him
difficult spot, because what do you think you could possibly get for him?
Look, if it's Arsenal, 40 mil, and you're going to have to push him that way,
Yeah,
I
that's a
honestly
lot,
can't.
but
You can forget your mid-table teams; they ain't going to waste their transfer budget on him. You've got to go to a club with money, because he is a gamble. I mean, Christ Almighty,
If you can,
the guy doesn't have seasons off. He's good for 1, bad for 2. It's seriously, you can forget.
are you talking about games there or years?
Years? I'm serious. You go. You look at the history of Rashford.
oh yeah.
Honestly, we're in the second one now.
Well, he's due a good one.
I'm telling you. Well, I suppose yeah. But what I'm saying is, West Ham. Let's use them as an example. They're sort of conceding a shit ton, but it's a marquee-ish signing for a biggish club. West Ham, okay. Oh, 40 million. Yeah, fuck it, we'll go for him. That could relegate him.
Rashford's not going to West Ham. I think that's the
No,
other thing you got to think about with this player.
Yeah.
He actually thinks that he's bigger than the club. That's one of my main issue at the moment with him. So, I haven't spoke to him, but that's the impression you get from the guy, isn't it? Like his letter that he put out and everything else about it was like, I'm ready to part ways. I'm ready to move on, and I can't imagine any lad who's come from United's youth team who's ever thought, can't wait to move on. Even Beckham, who wanted to go to Real Madrid, he went to Real Madrid. He wasn't desperate to go. He was actually sad about the fact he was getting forced out because of Ferguson falling out with him. And it's like, this guy actually thinks that we've stopped him from winning trophies. That the reason why he's not in the England squad is because we've done something around him. It's like, I don't get it. He's, it's sad in a way, because I really want him to succeed as much as you look at him sometimes and I think, you should be better than what you are. He hasn't improved as a player since he came through as a youth player. He really hasn't.
And that's a really good thing I want to just maintain. And I've got to be in my bonnet at the minute about this, and it is linked to the squad. And I've said it to Christian now multiple times. I'm getting sick of hearing he's raw, he's potential. No, he's shit. That's the word you're looking for. I'm sorry, I don't want to know that he was born in 1999 so he gets a pass. I want to know why he's fucking terrible. I'm getting really pissed off now, because I'm sick of it with Garnacho. What the fuck does raw even mean? Because he's not raw, he's terrible. Like, he's just doing my head in now.
He's another player who thinks he's better than he is. Garnacho.
You know what? I wish. I don't know when this started. This notion that if you're the age of 20 or 19, you are automatically going to get a million times better. I'm sorry, who invented this? Because it's not. It might not be true. You've just said Rashford, who's actually pretty good. He's in the good category. He was a better prospect than Garnacho. People talk about Garnacho like he's going to be amazing in 2 years. Based on what? You just did it with Højlund. What are we basing this on? Is it just?
I think it's social media that's done this.
It's fucking ridiculous. Like, I'm sick of it. Like,
I think Garnacho. It depends what you compare him to. I said to you last. I think we were talking about him last season. I said to him, like, I don't think he's exceptional talent. Do you know what I mean? He's not generation, nowhere near that. Do you know what I mean? He's not Phil Foden coming through City's books. He's not. You don't want to build a team around him. I thought he maybe has, like, he could be a decent wide player for Manchester United. Like, he might, and then he might progress a bit more. It's hard to know people's potential from the off, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's generational. He hasn't got the pace or the technique about him. But I think we've somehow got into his head around about the fact that we've obviously had players who have been
he's got
club from that
the Ronaldo
from
song.
Yeah,
he's got his own song called Viva Garnacho, and this fan base. Look, they pay to go to the games. I don't go to the games that often. I go to the odd one. Same with you, Phil. They're paying their 60 quid. They can do what they want. They want to sing a Ronaldo song to Garnacho, whatever. Do it. But they're feeding into this. He thinks that they are. That he thinks he is obviously in that ilk. Honestly, mate, you ain't even in the Januzaj Welbeck group. You're lower than that. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, it's facts on it.
People talk, and look, I'm sure, if whatever people watch this, they'll go, I don't know what I'm talking about, Garnacho. I'm telling you right now, when he's at Las Palmas, making 30 grand a week in La Liga, playing 25 games, come back and tell me that I was right with Garnacho.
What worries me, what's worrying is that obviously we have fans who think that. But also, I think I was listening to was it Red Devils one, Andy Mitten, the Athletic one, and the people at the club, they were saying that the people at the club, the guys who are obviously training these players, think Garnacho's the real deal, and in the next couple of years we're going to see something. So I'm like, how is this is a real problem? That's what they think. You know what I mean?
Agree, mate. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what the Stretford end think. I do think they are influencing him, growing his ego by singing Viva Garnacho, because he thinks he is fucking Ronaldo by the looks of things. But yeah, to your point it doesn't actually matter what really any of us think, because if the hierarchy and the manager and the coaching staff believe he is starting whatever winger 10, whatever we're going to play him as. I've got a problem with them people, really. Garnacho is who he is. It's not his fault. He's, in my opinion, average.
When you're watching players and the ball comes over to them, like let's say looking at Ahmad right now, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that Ahmad's one of the best players in the league. I don't think I don't know what his level is. What I will say is when the ball goes over to him, I'm pretty sure he's going to drop it dead. I'm pretty sure when he runs the ball, it's going to be near his foot, and he'll put a defender off because it's stuck to his foot. When Garnacho goes, I don't know if he's going to keep it in play. When he's running with it could be 10 yards ahead of him, but he's just shinned it ahead of himself and chasing after it. He has got a good set of goals you can look at, and you go, oh, that's a good highlight reel there. To be fair, he's probably got a good strike on him when he hits it well enough. But I don't think technically he's definitely not inside left forward in that position, and he's not. Yeah. I don't know what to do with him. I don't think he's that level. Just sell him.
This is what we should be doing. I know.
Apparently, Real Madrid wants him. I don't think that's the case.
We'll be 7 years in. I'm sure he'll be 200 appearances in for the club, and we'll need a left back to unlock him. Probably. I can already see the conversations.
Luke Shaw.
I do just want to touch on this, and Christian mentioned it to me about the desperation from. I think United is the worst for it, fan base wise. Albeit, I only obviously City. I'm fairly close to with Christian. In my opinion, I do think that there is and the club as well, a desperation to blind witness yourself into thinking these players are good. And I feel like we need to just enjoy that the class of '92 were what they were, and not try and engineer that again. Yeah. If it happens, Christ, I mean, look, if we get 5 academy players that can win the Champions League as a starter, I will be the happiest fan alive. What I'm not happy about is fans, particularly, and the club, like you just said, Phil, going, he's raw, he's got potential, hope Real Madrid don't come in for him because of the class of '92.
Yeah.
You're trying to chase a goal that might never happen again in 200 years. You just because. And I remember speaking to this guy I used to work with like about 5-6 years ago, and he went, "I'd rather see a guy from Manchester do well than an Argentinian." But at what point do you accept that? At what point do you go, I want my team to be good? Like, well, let's just go and watch the under-21s then. If that's what you really love, seeing a Mancunian in a red shirt, go and watch them. Well,
that's the most ludicrous point of view. It's like, what's I'm going to be bothered that...
That's a big... I'm telling you right now, that is across the board. I know, Phil, you're not like that, but I'm talking about a wide spread of United fans.
Yeah, United have a huge problem with it.
It's academy. You look at how many appearances did Lingard make for this club? McTominay. You could even say Rashford. It was never... Yeah. I loved the Rashford, and I was, Phil said there, like, we all wanted this to work out. I think if you pressed every United fan with a lie detector, he's just not good enough and never was, in my opinion. I think he was always just below the level to win a league, in my opinion.
Possibly, yeah.
Even at his best, by the way. I'm not talking about these 2-year gap years he keeps having. So,
Alex, you only need to look at as well where these players have gone that you've stuck with for so long. So, like, for instance, like Tom Cleverley, where did he end up? Watford or something like that. Where did Jesse Lingard ended up fishing out that move to Forest on that $100,000 a week contract? He's now in. Where's he even gone? Is he in Shanghai or something?
Jesse Lingard made 232 appearances for Manchester United.
And look where he is now. Do you know what I mean?
And you know why he did that? Because of the class of 92. And this club's obsession of chasing a pot of gold. I mean, it really just gets to me. And I'm not saying sell every academy product. I like Kobe Mainoo. I think he could be a starter for a Premier League winning team.
But you can tell, I agree. You can tell the difference though, can't you? When a player comes through, like me and you talk all the time, and Mainoo straight away, I was like, you've got a serious player there. Yeah. You can see. But when you're getting a player through and you're like, how is this happening that they're then getting 4 years at the club?
Yeah. I do think there's an issue. I do like the fact we have youth products in the squad, right? I'm not just saying chuck one in because we need one to carry on that stupid record that everyone goes on about, but I do think that
Van Gaal tried to get rid of.
I think that we should have youth players in and around the squad, the best of the youth products, not just get a youth product in there. And I think we have produced some good youth products that haven't quite worked out, but Lingard's not one of them, obviously. Mainoo, I think Rashford, well worth promoting to the first team, giving a chance. It's probably a season past, maybe 2 seasons past, where we should look to move him on. But that's fine. If you get a player like that that comes through and does well, you're not going to have, class 92 all the time. But even if the class 92, if you look at them, so you had probably 3 world-class players and you had 2 players who tried hard in the Neville brothers. Nicky Butt was a decent enough player. Yeah. Nicky Butt was moved on after he got to a certain level. Phil Neville was moved on. Neville kind of carried on, but I wouldn't say, he kind of made the best of what he got and he deserved to stay where he was. Yeah. The other 3 obviously deserved to be where they were. But then you're looking at, that's probably what should happen when you youth players. They got lucky that there was 3 world-class players. We have 1 world-class in Mainoo. I don't mind a couple of players who are workhorses, but they get moved on. All that they're in and around the squad. Like Wes Brown was good, but move them on. Do you know what I mean?
I'll just give you another name. This is within the last 5 years as well. Brandon Williams, 51 appearances for Manchester United. 51 appearances for Manchester United.
Where is he now?
He's not playing for anyone. He's not playing for anyone.
He's not got a club.
No, he's got. Didn't he get? It was something seriously going off the pitch, I think, with him. But he went to Ipswich. I think he started off quite well with Ipswich, and then they sent him back, and now we've released him, and no one signed up to him.
Fans, some United fans, obviously not you two, but they do make me giggle. There was one. I was bored the other day driving home from work, and there was one on TalkSport, and he was going on about re-signing Welbeck, right? I was like, how far do you go back with this? Like, he's having a good year. You seriously want Danny Welbeck back? Why don't you come and have a look what McKader's doing? Get him back. He's raw.
I mean, my opinion, I actually thought we should have sold Danny Welbeck at the time, just because I think he was worth keeping. And Falcao turned out to be a terrible signing, but you wouldn't sign him Welbeck back now. Like that's bad. That's a bad move for us. But
Danny Welbeck made 142 appearances for the club, scored
to
29
be
goals.
fair, would you have him over Højlund though, Alex?
Right now, look, he's. I mean, look, we'll sign him, and these mega injuries will come back the day he signs. So just on that alone, look, I'm pleased for Danny. I think he's carved out a really nice career for himself at Brighton, found his level. But as great as everyone's saying this Brighton career is, he's been there. This is his 5th season. His best returns, these are his goal returns: 2, 6, 6, 6, 5, and he's got 6 this year. In fairness, so before this year, he's not scored more than 6 league goals. Okay, he's got 6 in 14 this year. Brilliant. I'm pleased for Danny, but we just need to pump the brakes. He's a 1 in 5 striker at best, and look, nice bloke from Manchester. But again, Falcao would obviously Welbeck for Falcao never worked out. But I do think that we need to get away from just keeping people for the sake of it because they don't get replaced. And we've just done it again with Maguire. No, he triggered his year. We're not going to look. We've signed centre backs in fairness, probably a bad example. But it's like I said about Fernandes. He's not the worst, so keep him. We're never going to replace him then. It's the problem. You keep keeping these players because there's a worse player. We're never going to move past them. But yeah, I mean that's a bit of a deep dive in the academy issue at this club.
I think I always do want us to have new products coming through. To be fair, I think we made a few good ones. Like
but
obviously,
Mainoo's fantastic. Why are we not just satisfied with that? Like Mainoo's fantastic. What we don't need to shoehorn Hannibal in, who's struggling at Burnley in the
that's fair. That's a fair.
Even
thing.
Anthony Elanga, I'm really pleased for the kid.
Yeah.
He's gone to a team. Okay, look, Forest the top 4. I don't think Elanga is a Champions League player. He's a mid-table player, probably maybe bottom half. Pleased for him. I don't look back at that, and they're 4th. I don't look back at Elanga and wish we'd have kept him. We know what it takes to win a league, and these players aren't it, and that's fine. We can't chase it, which I think we are.
Yeah.
But anyway, so last thing on United, and then we'll touch on City. Sorry, Christian, I know we've. It's been a bit of a deep one here, but
he probably doesn't want to talk about City, so I'm not.
I'm all right. Yeah, the minute.
I'll stay for that bit.
So, I'll tell you what. We'll come to Christian first before we get to. We'll see what myself and Phil think. I think you've already got a steer from me. Sunday we're playing the league leaders Liverpool. The 6 points clear.
Yeah.
And they seem to be really. They've been pretty efficient all season. Now they're like pretty rampant. I think they've got like 11 goals in the last 2 games, have they? Sorry. Maybe between the last 3, I think they've got about 15 goals or something. What can United do on Sunday?
I was almost going to ask you the same question. I mean, you've got for 100% Main who's got to play. If you go there with a midfield 2 of Casemiro and Eriksen, genuinely, the sky's the limit. I
mean, look, Ugarte's. We can probably pick the team. It's going to be probably the City team, isn't it? The City team played at home. The City team played against Bournemouth.
I think maybe he needs to make the decision on Ahmad being. I prefer him in the 10 as well, but maybe he has to play wing back so that we have a more offensive player in that position.
But he's not. This is not the one where he's going to change. Like this was. I felt like that was the thing to try on. Look, Eriksen, Casemiro. Yeah. I don't. He's not going to do that now because
I think we're going to be stuck in a back 5, struggling to get out.
No, this is going to be the worst version of 3-4-3 on Sunday, and we're going to lose. We're going look. We lost 3-0 to this team at Old Trafford.
I'll be honest. I will go 4-0, and I think it will be exactly like you said. I think you'll struggle to get out from the back. I think they'll press you into oblivion.
Look,
they'll rush your decision making. When you do get the ball, I think it'll end up misplaced passes. They'll get it straight back, recycle it, be back on the edge of the box.
It's going to be. Look, I cannot see it.
I mean, I'm always a bit more optimistic in terms of before we kick a ball, but even I'm like, I mean, you know,
even if you went to a 4-2-3-1.
No, I don't. This is probably the one time I would probably say maybe we should go there and keep it tight and be defensively sound.
It's the Ollie going, getting a result. That game.
But you can't see the strikers in to get anything out of it, so I can't see where it goes.
Yeah.
Like when Ollie did it, we were solid with the 5, even though it was defensive and parking the bus. We're doing this 3-4-3 now. We're not solid. We're actually worse off. I mean, look, you can't look. Onana's been all over the place for a month. Martinez, he's not looking at Isaac and not picking him up because he's in a 3. Martinez is playing shit, and he played shit under Ten Hag in a 4. This isn't like it's not like just the 3, but it is awkward. I mean, they are overthinking their positions, and individually ballsing up.
I think, I think we're going to lose, but try and keep the score down, kind of thing. I mean, it's a shame because last season we actually went there and got a draw, didn't we? 0-0.
0-0, yeah.
Frustrating them. So I don't know how he managed to get that result out of it, but he did.
But
it
it came out of nowhere, and Hoyland missed a 1-on-1 in that, so it could have been better. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know what's gone on with them at Liverpool. Obviously, me and Christian spoke about them on the last one. We were talking about where this has sort of come from. When Slot came in, none of us knew anything about him. We all assumed he was worse than Klopp. To manipulate this team into a better version of Klopp's is, look, Carragher didn't even think they'd win the league at the beginning of the season. Liverpool fans, that if you look at them in their early stages of the season, nobody had Liverpool winning it, and now they could go 9 points clear.
Not to be too patronising, but under Slot, they've been much more. They don't really go hell for leather anymore, do they? They're much more efficient, so it could play into your hands. Like Phil was saying, keep the score down. They might not actually go for the kill. They might be 2-0 up and just start passing it around. But
your thinking is when you went there and they went 1-0 up and took 10 minutes, and they won't do that with us.
The only reason, I know what you mean. The only reason we did that is because we actually did have a good spell.
We will turn it over Sunday in that first half. So even though Slot typically might go, have your 15 minutes at kick-off and then rein it in for 5, we could be 3-0 down.
Yeah.
In 20 minutes. Seriously, we should have been 3-0 down in 20 minutes on Monday.
Yeah.
So a 15-minute blitz might have us 3-0 down, Christian. That's the difference here.
It's not the ground. It's not the ground you want to go 3-0 down, especially in that fixture.
They ain't gonna. I mean, I saw them against Spurs. They wanted to score 10. West Ham, they got 5. They ain't gonna. Man United, they're gonna think, let's bang 7 past them again. Can't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised by Liverpool. I mean, I didn't expect them to be this good, and they are. I mean, Salah seems to be getting better, at least in terms of his goal contributions. He's going through the roof compared to what we've seen before. I thought he'd be coming to the end of his goal scoring capabilities or career.
I mean, that's a separate. That's probably one for them to be upset about. But
I think with Liverpool, I don't even know if that's the problem with United. I mean, at the moment, these bunch of players that we've got, you can't even expect them to put in a fight. Do you know what I mean? They just don't look capable of it.
No.
And
they don't want to get their hands dirty and get smashed. I don't want to sound like Keane here, but smash into someone, be aggressive. Try some cute tactics. Try and get someone an early yellow or even a red. We don't even do that. We just letting Joe Linton and whoever the others are, Newcastle got, just roam around like they own the place.
Overall, Phil, what would you say? Score prediction. What would you go with?
7. You're still having counselling for the 7-0, aren't you, Phil?
If he's going to say 2-1 United after all this.
1-0 United.
Yeah. Be positive.
1-0 Garnacho overhead kick.
Christ.
I mean, he's capable of it on his day.
We'd be better just keeping it 0-0 for a bit. If we score 1, they really will go for our throat.
Right. I mean, it's hard to predict.
If we go 1-0 up, I will be worried.
But I would say I'm going 3-0 Liverpool.
Yeah. Look, hey, they beat us 3-0 at Old Trafford in a conventional system.
I hope we win. I'm going to be there watching them.
Yeah. Me and Christian are doing a watch along, so he's coming round here.
I'm doing dry January, so this is the worst month to possibly do it in.
Me and him are as well.
I'm doing dry, yeah. Yeah, so
The only thing that got me through the
about
Newcastle game was the
3:45
amount of
tomorrow,
pints
though.
drinking.
Well, I think Christian's coming around here bringing me mum. So I can't wait for her to be running every 2 minutes going, have they scored again? Yes, they have. And then she'll be like, well, they're playing in red. Yeah. They fucking are. She ain't wearing white. Okay.
Right.
Christian, talk to us. City. You got West
Yeah,
Ham.
obviously, like I was saying, the last one.
West Ham have been awful. You've got to be thinking you could build some momentum now.
Yeah, but mate, the thing is, in that last game, I'll be realistic. Like I said on the last pod, it wasn't like a bounce back City performance. And any City fan that is saying that, they didn't watch that game properly, because to be honest, we were lucky to make it out with 3 points. At 1-0, we were massively sitting back. Vardy was missing chances. We were on the ropes. We then got the Haaland goal. We got the win. Obviously happy about it, but I don't know going forward until we sign players. I don't know how this game's going to go, really, because ultimately we seem very easy to stop. We seem very easy to not concede against, as we saw with the Everton one. And we're very easy to go and score against because we can be walked through. Look at that Tielemans pass, like you mentioned before.
Vardy had a lot of chances, didn't he? And hit the post. He hit the post a couple of times.
Yeah, like I was saying to you in the last match as well.
Have they got anything to hurt you with, though?
I'd like to see a bit of a move from the old guard. So I'd like to see Bernardo dropped out the side, or Gundo and McAtee given a chance.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, I'm not guaranteeing he's at that level or he's going to be any sort of mainstay going forward. But at the minute, we've had 14 matches where we've won 2 games, and these players now have been letting us down week in, week out. You've got to draw the line somewhere and go, we've got to bring someone in, give them a bit of a go.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think obviously with McAtee did okay when he came on and sort of created the goal a little bit. I think now's look. I mean, there's pressure to get top 4, but I don't think it's not impossible. And I think now's the sort of 2 or 3 game period to maybe try and find something with a young lad. Maybe it's McAtee or somebody else. And like you said, now's the time to West Ham at home. They have been shipping goals Liverpool's nearly scored 10 past them.
Honestly, I do think we'll win, only based on how poor they are and how poor they've been under that manager as well. I think Bowen's out as well, so they are going to be. Yeah, I think Bowen's missing. So, excuse me. Yeah, so I think I do think we'll get the win. I'd just like to see us being a bit more efficient. We've been so open in every single match against really poor sides as well, and shipping goals. So I'd like to see us just being a bit more confident. Like to see Savinho kick on, got his first goal. He's so important. We've got to get at least one of the wingers getting some sort of output, because at the minute it's just completely reliant on Haaland, who I'd like to see kick on. Obviously, he was in a bit of a rut, but he's not really the concern. Like I was saying to you boys before, he's going to always get you 25 goals a year anyway. The problem is we've always had an offset of a KDB, a Bernardo, whoever else, Gundo in the past, and they always chip in with 10 goals. Obviously, last year Foden got about 20, and this year there's been no one after Haaland.
No, it's a strange time, and it obviously we've experienced this as Reds that it's when it comes to the end, it is difficult because you don't want to have a go at these players because they've been so good for you and it feels like you're at that crossroads at the minute. And obviously Guardiola is a coach because he's re-upped, hasn't he, a year? So it's not like he's going to go with them.
I think that's massively important as well. I think he needs to be there for the rebuild. I'd be seriously concerned. I mean, if Pep had left, if he'd have announced he was going at the end of the year, that would have been huge.
I think we've seen this obviously a couple of times with like the class 92, the 99 team, that sort of era coming to an end. Fergie built 4 teams, didn't he, in total, rebuilt. You'd say like the 94 team, he built the treble team. The treble team came into I guess you got the Rooney, Ronaldo team, and the back end sort of era. I don't know. It's hard because you've got these players who are really quality, like Kevin De Bruyne, like we kept the quality players that we had. It's worth keeping the quality players, but you need to get legs around them, and you need to start. That's the first thing that City really need to start doing. Obviously, you're missing Rodri. It's a massive miss for you. But I would be looking. The wingers just haven't been up to the same level as what you had previously, so that's a massive problem.
But the two guys in centre mid, like you just said there, so you lose Rodri, and then you also don't have the legs either to go round. It's not like you've brought in a couple of athletic players in centre mid. You've got Kovacic and Gundogan, which is not going to suit De Bruyne at all because it's like Christ, they can't run either. So it's like a double down where you've lost the best DM in the world, and you've replaced him with two slow players, which then impacts your best player because he can't run anymore. It's just like
effectively what we were always good at and what Pep was great at was recognising players were coming to the end and replacing them before they did. We had it with Vincent Kompany, David Silva and Aguero. Unfortunately, this is the first time he sort of felt the hurdle. De Bruyne is coming to the end. Gundo had already gone. Obviously, we brought him back. He's not at the level he was when we sold him. And this is the first time he's not passed the baton onto someone new. And now we're in a situation where we've actually got to go and sign while they're still here to replace them and hope they hit the ground running. So, listen, it is serious. And I think we're going to be in a situation for the rest of the year. We've got to sign. And I'm not going to lie, our signings in this window depend on whether I think we'll get Champions League or not. Because currently with the squad we've got, rolling with this midfield, I can't see it making top four because the teams above us are actually better. So
it could be just that simple. Just getting a couple of some legs in the team, and you're still going to need the output from the wingers, and I don't think you're going to be able to satisfy everything in the like we were talking before about United. Do you go for a striker or wing backs? You're going to have to probably pick what you go for, unless you really went berserk. So it's
I haven't watched City as much as you do, Christian. I've only seen when I've gone watching it, like a pub against somebody. I don't watch him every week, but I don't know what's going on with Foden. Seems to be he had a really great season and he's just dropped off completely. He's the player who should be stepping up right now. So I'm not sure. Is there something going on with him?
Honestly, it's a mystery, Phil. Like he had obviously the disappointing Euros. Whether that seriously dented his confidence, but he doesn't strike me as the kind of player that is too much of a confidence player because his ability on the ball is just goes without saying. Do you know what I mean? I really don't know what it is. Even his physicality looks off. He looks like he's struggling in matches. I mean, in that Leicester game, he was getting bounced off the ball. We were doing like a watch along, weren't we, Alex? And we both noticed it. His physicality, there's something off. Whether it's that he's match drained, whether it's that he's carrying something, I don't know. But he's another one where I wouldn't mind him coming out of the team for a little bit because I don't think it's doing him any favours at the minute. Just keep slinging him in.
No. It's hard, so I think, but Fergie did the same with some of our players who were off form, who he trusted. I think Pep Guardiola's also got trust in him. Some players they just carry on playing because they do know they're going to come good eventually. I know it's one of those things, but who's going to back you if you take him out? Let's say, for instance, and I just don't think Grealish is going to put in the same amount, or even the lads he brought in recently. I just don't think
it could be one of them that you take him out. You might not gain anything, but you might gain if you got Foden really good for the last.
You might gain a rejuvenated Foden.
Yeah, and like if you just give him a break and just say, look, whatever's gone on, I know me and you slightly disagree on this, Christian. Where I do think the Euros have impacted him. I think it's the first time. I think because he went there. Best player in the league. We're not talking about he had a good season. He was, and rightly so, the PFA Player of the Year. Goes to the Euros, had the position awkwardness at the beginning, and then ended up in his number 10, and he took a lot of criticism, which he's never took. I mean, City have been amazing for 4 years. He's been a big part of that. So it might just be a case of the first time in his year, questions have been asked, and he's like maybe just looking at himself a little bit. Give him 2 weeks off. Just go away, train, don't even have to come to games, come back, might do the trick, even if, like Phil said, Grealish offers nothing, you might get that Foden back, which is...
I agree. I think it could be beneficial for him. I think the only thing at the moment for us is we need to get goals from elsewhere, and at the minute, I don't know where they can come from. Savio... I was hoping. I mean, he did well at Girona. I'm sure he got like double figures goal, double figures assists. It was like 10 and 11 or something around that. Don't quote me. And he's come in. He's got his first goal just before the turn of the year. You know, we've got Doku, we barely get any output from. His end ball, his decision making is less than great. Grealish, we get zero output from. So the problem is with this, I know, even like I just said myself, it'd be good to give Foden a bit of time. But the worry is, the guys we've got coming in for him, they need to do something.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a big position. I mean, you've scored 30. I'm just looking now. You've scored 32 goals in 19 games, which is very low for City. For example, you've scored the same amount of goals as Newcastle.
I mean, Gvardiol is one of our top scorers.
Yeah, it's this. I mean, like you said, without Haaland, you've had no production basically. It is a thing where you're looking at it, you go, because Newcastle look strong. They look physically strong. Probably not technically as good as City, but as we found out, they can run you off the pitch, and Newcastle feel like they could beat City right now because it's a bad matchup. Like I said, the only team United cope well with was City. I'm not having
well, exactly. That's no good reference for us, is it, going forward?
Because of your sort of general physicality as a team, United didn't turn up and get ran off the pitch like we have been doing. So it's a similar issue for you, but you have got that stand and deliver quality that we don't, where, like you said, if you get it to De Bruyne in that sort of final third, if he's got the quality to create for Haaland, and Haaland will take most chances. So you have got sort of something to cling to. It'd be good, like you said, give me the ball and get out of the way type of player. But January's hard, man. I mean, it's all even if United have money, and obviously the word is we've got to sell to buy. Who do you buy?
I think with City especially, they probably do need a set of legs in midfield. They do need a number 10 to come in, or a striker. I think we might have lost Christian there.
Maybe his phone's died.
Just had enough of City.
Let's go back to United.
Yeah. We've only spent 10 minutes on it. That's it.
Yeah, I know. But to be honest, Christian said to me before, he was like, look, I don't mind if it's like 80-20 United. Obviously, with you being on as well, like we wanted to speak to you about United. So, I think he's not texted me. So it is like an hour 45. So, it's probably a good place to wrap it. It's been great having you on. So look forward to doing it again if you enjoyed it, Phil.
Yeah, I did do.
In better circumstances.
Yeah.
If we sign or find something in the next, well, it ain't going to be in the next few days, but
no.
Yeah, it's been good to chat and sort of go over a few things. So.
I think it's good to talk about it because obviously I've been saying about the formation stuff, and you've been pro formation.
Hey, it's great to come on here and just. It's a bit of a. God, it's just a place to vent, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's what we need because I can't see us win the weekend. No. I've even got John Lennon sat behind me, which is upsetting me.
Yeah. No. Oh God, I didn't even realise. That's a sign.
I'm watching this going, oh my God, now
I am dreading
Beatles fan, and I've got to sit here with this.
Like, in the past, the hidings we've had, but the only one I did see come in, but the 7-0 and the 6-3 and those ones, I didn't really see them coming, if I'm being honest. I mean, the 6-3 when I saw the team, but the where the team was and the momentum, I didn't actually think we were going to get lamped. It was obviously sort of when the team sheet came out. I did the 7-0. We thought we were going to win that.
Yeah. Well, half time was it 1-0? We were lucky to be down 1-0.
Right on half time, I think we missed a couple, and then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing we didn't mention before is the capitulation side of it with this team. That they concede 1, they concede 2, they concede 3. So, Christ, let's just get through it and hopefully we can. We've got obviously Arsenal in the Cup. These just fixtures, man. They're not
good, is it?
We have got Southampton at home. You cannot be not winning that.
No, that's true.
I honestly think he might be. If we lost, look, you can lose to Liverpool, lose to Arsenal away, right? Best 2 teams in the country. I honestly think if he loses them 2 and he loses at home Southampton, I think he's gone.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I
feel sorry for him. I will be sympathetic with the guy, but he can't lose that game.
I think Amorim. I said to you this before. I think that for him to become our manager that we want long term, he has to move. My personal opinion is move away from the formation that he's wedded to. maybe whether that takes a bit of time for him to realise it or not. I think long term for us to become the team that we need to, I think that has to happen within as the manager.
Yeah.
But yeah, if this carries on, he has to think about changing at some point. I can't believe hopefully we'll make some signings in the window, and that'll help.
Even just a subtle tweak of 3-5-2 with two wingers at fullback. Actually having a flat three in centre mid, which is something I would consider for. I would consider playing Casemiro, Ugarte, Mainu in a flat three, but who's going to come in, and it's simple, and he has to play Ahmad, so. It's going to be Mainu Ugarte against them three lunatics pressing us to oblivion.
No, great.
But yeah, anyway. Right.
Right.
I'll let you go, Phil. Thanks for joining us, mate, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Take care, mate. See ya.